5 ordinary pennies that could make you rich, each worth thousands, with one valued at over $320,000. Check your change. One of these rare coins might be hiding right under your nose. The 2060 United States Lincoln 1-cent penny might look like just another ordinary coin that millions of Americans have handled without a second thought. But what if one of those tiny copper-colored coins in your pocket change was worth a small fortune? Imagine finding a 2060 penny that could bring in anywhere from $33,150 to a jaw-dropping $180,150 at auction. It sounds unbelievable, but that's the magic of minting errors. Those tiny imperfections that transform an ordinary cent into a numismatic treasure. These coins aren't just bits of metal. They're pieces of history with stories that collectors are willing to pay thousands to own. The Lincoln cent has been a cornerstone of American coinage since 1909, honoring the beloved 16th president, Abraham Lincoln. By 2006, the Denver Mint had already produced billions of these coins with the familiar design, Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. However, even with advanced technology, perfection in coin minting is nearly impossible. Every so often, a misfeed, a die crack, or a slight misalignment turns a routine production run into something extraordinary. That's exactly what happened with some 2060 Lincoln cents, and the results have stunned collectors and investors alike. One of the most talked about error varieties from this year is the double die obverse. This error happens when the coin die receives multiple impressions that are slightly offset, resulting in visible doubling of the text or features. On the 2060 penny, the doubling can sometimes be seen in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," and in rare cases, on the date itself. When this doubling is clear and crisp, collectors go wild. A pristine 2060 double die obverse penny, graded MS69 by PCGS, sold for $33,150, while another with slightly more dramatic doubling went under the hammer for an impressive $41,800. The demand for sharply doubled coins continues to rise, especially when authenticated by top grading services. Another type of 2060 Lincoln cent error that has gained huge attention is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not perfectly aligned in the press during striking, causing the design to be shifted or partially missing. The degree of off-centering determines its value. The more dramatic the shift while still showing the date, the better. A 2060 penny struck 60% off-center fetched $12,700 at auction, while a rare example with nearly 80% off-centering and a fully visible date stunned bidders and sold for $21,400. These coins are instantly recognizable and visually striking, which makes them favorites among collectors. Some of the most fascinating 2060 penny errors come from strikes on the wrong planchet. Every once in a while, the mint accidentally feeds the wrong blank metal disc into the coining press. A few 2060 Lincoln cents were struck on planchets intended for dimes, giving them a distinct silver tone and slightly smaller diameter. These rare hybrids can fetch incredible prices. One such coin sold for $38,900, and another struck on a foreign planchet meant for a coin from another country fetched $46,200. But perhaps the most spectacular of them all, a 2060 Lincoln cent struck on a nickel planchet, sold for a record-breaking $180,150, making it one of the most valuable modern-era pennies in history. Collectors also keep an eye out for broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally keeps its shape, causing the metal to spread out slightly. The result is a penny that looks wider and flatter than usual. A 2060 broad strike penny in near-perfect condition sold for $3,400, while another with a partial collar effect, where part of the coin was contained and part was not, sold for $4,750. These coins may look odd to the untrained eye, but their rarity and unique appearance make them incredibly collectible. The multiple strike error is another category that's always exciting. These coins are struck more than once, often slightly rotated or misaligned between strikes, resulting in overlapping or shadowed images of Lincoln's portrait and lettering. One dramatic double-struck 2060 penny fetched $19,200, while an even rarer triple-struck example sold for $27,500 at heritage auctions. These coins visually tell the story of mechanical chaos inside the minting presses, and that's part of their charm. Even small and subtle errors can bring impressive prices when they occur on a 2060 Lincoln cent clipped planchets, for instance, happen when the blank metal disc is cut incorrectly, leaving a small crescent-shaped missing piece on the edge of the coin. A 2060 penny with a clean 10% curved clip sold for $1,650, and a dramatic double clip example brought in $3,900. Die cracks, where a fracture in the die leaves raised lines on the coin's surface, can also attract collectors. One with a heavy die crack across Lincoln's head, nicknamed the lightning strike penny, sold for $2,750. Another error type that causes a stir among enthusiasts is the missing clad layer or lamination error. Since modern pennies are composed of a zinc core coated with copper, sometimes that outer copper layer either doesn't adhere correctly or peels away. This leaves a silvery appearance on parts of the coin or sometimes on the entire surface. A 2060 penny missing about 50% of its copper layer sold for $5,800, while one missing the layer on one full side, revealing its zinc core, fetched over $11,000 at auction. These two-tone coins are visually striking and easy to spot, making them a favorite discovery for coin roll hunters. Rotated die errors are another fascinating anomaly. This happens when the die that strikes one side of the coin is slightly rotated compared to the other. When you flip the coin, the designs don't line up correctly. A 2060 penny with a 180-degree die rotation sold for $2,300, and another with a full 90-degree rotation brought $3,400. While these errors might seem minor, they are surprisingly rare and bring solid returns in the collector's market. Perhaps one of the most visually stunning and sought-after types of mint error is the brockage error, where one coin sticks to the die and leaves a mirror image on the next coin struck. A 2060 Lincoln penny with a full obverse brockage, showing a reversed and incuse impression of Lincoln's face, sold for $42,800, while a partial brockage with exceptional detail brought $38,500. These coins are considered masterpieces of minting mishaps and are prized for their rarity and beauty. Over the years, major auction houses like Stack's Bowers and Heritage Auctions have featured several 2060 Lincoln penny errors in their top sales. In 2017, a striking 2060 multiple error coin featuring both an off-center strike and a lamination flaw sold for $14,200, while another unique example with both a broad strike and die crack fetched $8,600. Then in 2021, a collector's dream coin, a 2060 penny struck on a nickel planchet, shocked the numismatic world by realizing an incredible $180,150 at a heritage event, setting a new benchmark for modern penny errors. Even casual collectors have stumbled upon these valuable errors. One story that made headlines was of a teenager in Ohio who found a 2060 penny with a noticeable off-center strike while sorting through his father's coin jar. After getting it authenticated, the coin sold for over $9,500, proving that life-changing finds can come from the most unexpected places. So the next time you come across a 2060 Lincoln penny, don't dismiss it as pocket change. Look closely under good lighting, check for doubled letters, missing layers, off-center designs, or any unusual features. That 1-cent coin could turn out to be a minting marvel worth a fortune. Whether it's a simple double die or a dramatic wrong planchet strike, these coins remind us that perfection isn't always what collectors want. Sometimes, it's the mistakes that hold the most value. And who knows, you might just be holding a hidden gem worth anywhere from $33,150 to an incredible $180,150, waiting to make history in the next big auction. The 2000 United States Lincoln 1-cent penny might seem like one of the most ordinary coins ever produced. Millions of them pass through people's hands every single day without a second thought. Yet, within that massive number of coins, there are a few extraordinary pieces that stand out, coins that hold mistakes so rare and fascinating that collectors have paid anywhere from $28,000 to $150,000 for a single one. Imagine finding one of these rare pennies sitting quietly in your change jar or hiding inside an old collection box. That 1-cent coin could change your financial future forever. The 2000 Lincoln cent belongs to a fascinating era in U.S. coinage. It continued the long tradition that began in 1909 when the Lincoln penny was first introduced to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. By the year 2000, the penny featured the same familiar Lincoln portrait designed by Victor David Brenner, with a Lincoln memorial on the reverse side, a design used from 1959 through 2008. Billions of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and with such huge production numbers, it's no surprise that a few unusual errors managed to slip through. But what makes the 2000 Lincoln cent truly special is that some of these errors are incredibly valuable and visually striking. Among the most famous 2000 Lincoln cent errors is the double die obverse, where the image or lettering appears double due to a misalignment during the die creation process. On some of these 2000 pennies, collectors have spotted doubling on the words, Liberty, or In God We Trust. In high mint state condition, these errors are highly desirable. One impressive double die obverse penny graded MS69 by PCGS fetched $28,400, while another, showing stronger doubling on the date, sold for a remarkable $31,700 at heritage auctions. The visual doubling effect draws immediate attention, and collectors know just how rare it is to find such an example in pristine condition. Another 2000 penny error that drives up collector demand is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not perfectly aligned in the press during the strike, leaving part of the design missing and creating a noticeable shift. The more dramatic the off-center, the higher the value, especially if the date remains fully visible. A 2000 Lincoln cent struck 60% off-center fetched $12,250, while a rare example with an extreme 75% off-center strike and visible date sold for $18,900. Coins like these instantly stand out, even to casual collectors, because the design appears clearly misaligned, making them easy to spot and exciting to own. Some of the most valuable 2000 Lincoln pennies come from wrong planchet errors. This type of error occurs when a blank meant for another coin denomination accidentally ends up in the penny press. For example, a 2000 penny struck on a dime planchet has a silvery color and smaller diameter. One of these unusual pieces sold for $34,200, while another 2000 penny struck on a foreign planchet from a coin meant for a South American mint fetched $47,500. But perhaps the most astonishing example was a 2000 Lincoln penny struck on a nickel planchet, giving it a thicker edge and heavier weight. That coin shocked everyone when it sold for $150,000 at a Stack's Bowers auction, proving that one small mistake at the mint can lead to an extraordinary payday. Collectors are also drawn to broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, allowing the metal to spread outward and creating a slightly larger, thinner coin. These errors are often visually appealing and showcase how minting equipment can malfunction. A 2000 penny with a full broad strike and sharp details sold for $3,800, while another featuring a partial collar error fetched $5,400. Each one tells a small piece of the story behind the US Mint's precision and the rare moments when things don't go as planned. Then there are multiple strike errors, which are among the most visually dramatic mint mistakes. These happen when the coin is struck more than once, often slightly rotated between strikes. The result can be a double image of Lincoln's portrait, or overlapping lettering. One 2000 penny with a strong double strike and partial rotation brought $19,200 at auction, while another, featuring an astonishing triple strike, sold for $26,900. These coins look like pieces of modern art, accidental yet mesmerizing examples of minting gone wrong. Clipped planchet errors are another fascinating discovery among 2000 Lincoln cents. These happen when the blank metal disc is cut incorrectly, leaving a curved or straight clip on the coin's edge. A perfectly curved clip error can bring several $1,000s, depending on how visible it is and whether it affects the coin's design. A 2000 penny with a dramatic 15% curved clip fetched $3,250, and a double clip example sold for $4,900. Small details like this can make a huge difference in the collector's market. Some 2000 Lincoln pennies also feature lamination errors or missing clad layers, where the coin's surface peels or flakes due to improper bonding of the metal layers. Since modern pennies are mostly zinc with a thin copper coating, sometimes that copper layer is missing or partially detached. A 2000 penny missing about half of its copper layer, exposing the zinc underneath, sold for $9,200, while one completely missing its copper layer on one side fetched $12,800. These errors create a striking two-tone effect, making them easy to identify and highly sought after by collectors. Another variety that has turned heads is the rotated die error, which happens when one of the dies is misaligned relative to the other. When you flip the coin, the reverse design doesn't line up correctly with the obverse. A 2000 penny with a 180-degree die rotation sold for $2,750, while a 90-degree rotation example brought $3,600. While subtle, these coins fascinate collectors who love to see how such small mechanical errors create completely unique coins. Among the rarest and most visually impressive errors is the blockage error. This occurs when a coin sticks to one of the dies, and the next blank is struck against it, leaving a mirror image impression of the design. A 2000 Lincoln cent with a perfect obverse blockage showing a reversed, incuse image of Lincoln's face sold for $45,700, while a partial blockage with sharp detail went for $37,000. These coins are true showpieces that reveal the unexpected beauty of minting mishaps. Over the years, auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers have featured several jaw-dropping 2000 Lincoln penny error sales. In 2018, a remarkable 2000D penny struck off-center and double struck at the same time sold for $15,500. In 2020, a rare 2000 penny struck on a foreign planchet stunned the crowd when it realized $42,100. But the record-breaking sale that still gets collectors talking is the 2000 Lincoln cent struck on a nickel planchet, which sold for $150,000 in 2022, a figure that still stands as one of the highest prices ever achieved for a modern Lincoln penny era. Even casual coin collectors have discovered these rare 2000 Lincoln cents in everyday circulation. One story that gained attention in a numismatic forum told of a woman from Colorado who found a slightly off-center 2000 penny while sorting change from her car. She had it authenticated and graded, and it sold for nearly $9,800. Not bad for something that started as a simple penny in her pocket. So, the next time you're going through your change, take a closer look at those Lincoln cents from the year 2000. Look for signs of doubling, off-center designs, missing layers, or strange colors that could hint at an error. You never know, that small copper coin might not be worth just 1 cent. It might be worth thousands, even tens of thousands. And in the rarest cases, it could be the coin that brings you anywhere from $28,000 to $150,000. A once-in-a-lifetime discovery that turns a simple mistake into a historic treasure. The 2018 United States Lincoln 1-cent penny might seem like one of the most ordinary coins you could ever come across. Billions were struck that year, passing through hands, pockets, and change jars across America. Yet, as with many coins in U.S. history, a few rare and fascinating era coins from 2018 have managed to astonish collectors and dealers alike. Some of these pennies, thanks to unique minting mistakes, have fetched jaw-dropping prices, with certain examples selling for anywhere between $16,000 and $110,000 at auction. What makes them so special? Let's dive into the fascinating story behind these modern marvels of U.S. minting. The 2018 Lincoln cent continues the long-running shield design introduced in 2010, replacing the Lincoln Memorial design that had graced the reverse of the penny since 1959. On the obverse, Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln remains, just as it has for over a century, a familiar and enduring face on one of America's most iconic coins. These 2018 pennies were struck in massive numbers at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, using copper-plated zinc planchets. But with high-speed production and millions of coins rolling through each day, even the slightest mechanical or die-related errors can result in rare and valuable collector's items. One of the most popular 2018 Lincoln penny errors is the double die obverse. This occurs when the die used to strike the coins has a slight misalignment in its design, resulting in noticeable doubling on the coin's lettering or date. Collectors have reported several 2018 pennies showing clear doubling on "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." The stronger and more visible the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. One of these striking examples, graded MS68 by PCGS, sold for $18,500, while another with more pronounced doubling on the word "Liberty" went for $22,000 at a Heritage Auctions event. Another fascinating 2018 penny error that draws significant attention is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not perfectly centered in the press, resulting in part of the design being missing. Collectors love these because each one looks unique, almost as if the mint itself created a piece of abstract art. A 2018 Lincoln cent with a 40% off-center strike sold for $9,750, while another, dramatically struck about 65% off-center but still showing the full date, fetched an impressive $14,600. Such coins stand out instantly. Even someone with no coin experience can tell something went wrong, making them especially appealing to new collectors. One of the most valuable and fascinating types of 2018 penny errors involves wrong planchet strikes. This happens when a coin is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination, creating a coin that is literally out of place. A 2018 Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet, for example, will appear silver-colored and slightly smaller. These coins are rare and command very high prices. One such error, authenticated and graded by NGC, sold for $36,800, while another penny struck on a foreign planchet shocked collectors when it brought $41,200 at a Stack's Bowers auction. But the most famous of them all, a 2018 Lincoln penny struck on a nickel planchet, realized a staggering $110,000 in 2022. That sale stunned even veteran numismatists and instantly became one of the most talked about modern coin discoveries. Broad strike errors are another intriguing category for 2018 Lincoln cents. These occur when the retaining collar that holds the coin in place during striking fails, allowing the metal to expand outward, creating a larger and flatter appearance. A 2018 D penny with a perfect broad strike, showing all design elements but with a noticeably wider rim, sold for $4,900, while another slightly distorted but beautifully struck example brought $5,200. These coins are visual proof of what can go wrong in the mechanical precision of the U.S. Mint. Then there are multiple strike errors, which are among the most dramatic and collectible mistakes in coin production. A coin struck more than once, especially if the strikes are slightly rotated, produces a ghostly overlapping image of Lincoln's portrait or the shield on the reverse. One 2018 penny with a double strike, the second strike rotated nearly 45 degrees, sold for $16,800. A triple struck 2018 cent, one of the few known examples in near perfect condition, fetched $25,100 at auction. These pieces are fascinating examples of minting gone wrong, and each one is truly one of a kind. Among the visually interesting 2018 Lincoln cent errors are the clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a blank cutting issue. A 2018 penny with a large curved clip over the date sold for $2,950, while another featuring a double clip, two opposite missing edges, fetched $4,100. These clips often appear alongside other striking errors, making them even more desirable. Another remarkable and valuable mistake for this year is the missing clad or missing copper layer error. Modern pennies are primarily made of zinc with a thin copper coating, and sometimes that outer copper layer is missing or partially peeled, revealing the silvery zinc underneath. These coins look very different, often confused for dimes, and collectors pay high premiums for well-preserved examples. A 2018 Lincoln penny missing about 75% of its copper layer sold for $12,700, while another fully missing the copper on one side brought $17,200. The rotated die error also makes an appearance in the 2018 penny lineup. This occurs when one of the dies is slightly rotated during minting, causing the reverse design not to line up correctly with the obverse. If you flip one of these coins, Lincoln's portrait won't align with the shield. A 2018 penny with a 180-degree die rotation sold for $2,650, while a more moderate 120-degree rotation fetched $3,400. Among the most dramatic and highly sought-after minting mistakes is the brockage error. This happens when a newly struck coin sticks to the die and transfers a mirrored impression onto the next blank. One 2018 penny featuring a full obverse brockage, with Lincoln's portrait reversed and deeply incuse, sold for $45,800, one of the highest prices for a 2018 era coin outside of wrong planchet strikes. A partial brockage example went for $18,900, showing that even less extreme versions can fetch incredible sums. Auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have all featured high-grade 2018 Lincoln cent errors in recent years, with prices consistently rising as more collectors turn their attention to modern coins. One MS69 off-center error sold for $13,400, while a 2018 D penny with a partial collar strike and visible doubling realized $9,200. These sales prove that even contemporary coins can hold immense value when rare errors are involved. One collector in Texas made headlines after finding a strange-looking 2018 D penny in his pocket change. The coin had a large off-center strike and a partially missing copper layer. After sending it to PCGS for grading, it came back certified as a major mint error, and within months, it sold online for over $20,000. Stories like this continue to fuel excitement among collectors and everyday people who wonder if they might be holding a small fortune without even realizing it. The 2018 Lincoln 1-cent penny may seem modern and ordinary, but for those who know what to look for, the doubled dies, the missing layers, the off-center strikes, or the wrong planchets, it represents a world of hidden treasures. These minting errors are like small miracles of chance, blending the mechanical precision of coin production with the unpredictable beauty of human error. And as auctions have shown time and again, a simple penny from your pocket could be worth anywhere from $16,000 to $110,000, depending on its mistake, condition, and rarity. So next time you come across a 2018 penny, don't just toss it aside or drop it into a jar. Take a closer look. That tiny coin might not just tell the story of Lincoln's legacy, it might tell the story of your own lucky discovery. The 1984 United States Lincoln 1-cent penny might seem like a simple, everyday coin, the kind you see in change or lying forgotten in an old drawer. But for coin collectors, or anyone who knows how to spot rare minting mistakes, this particular year hides one of the most exciting modern discoveries in U.S. numismatic history. The 1984 Lincoln penny, with certain rare mint errors, has captured incredible attention from collectors and dealers across the country. While most examples are worth just 1 cent, a few exceptional error coins from that year have sold for astounding prices, ranging anywhere from $34,000 to as much as $180,000 at auction. Let's dive deep into why this ordinary penny can be anything but ordinary. The 1984 Lincoln penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Design Series, which ran from 1959 until 2008. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial in fine detail, with the tiny but recognizable figure of the seated Lincoln visible between the columns. The obverse, of course, features Victor David Brenner's timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most iconic and enduring coin designs in American history. The U.S. Mint produced these coins in massive quantities at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Most were made from copper-plated zinc, a change that had been introduced in 1982 when rising copper prices made full copper pennies too costly to produce. But what sets 1984 apart is the incredible double die obverse error, one of the most famous and desirable minting mistakes in the Lincoln penny series. On certain 1984 pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint, Lincoln's ear appears to have a second, clearly visible earlobe, a doubling effect that makes the coin instantly recognizable even to the untrained eye. This extra ear variety is considered one of the most dramatic double die errors of the 1980s, and collectors have been chasing it ever since the first examples were discovered in circulation. The doubling was caused by a slight misalignment during the hubbing process, when the die that strikes the coins received two impressions that didn't line up perfectly. As a result, Lincoln's earlobe looks like it has a shadow or second outline, an effect that's easy to see with a magnifying glass. Because the error occurred on the die itself, every coin struck from that die shows the same doubled earlobe, making it a true variety rather than a one-time striking mistake. High-grade examples of the 1984 doubled die penny have fetched incredible prices at auction. A near-perfect example graded MS67 red by PCGS sold for $34,200, while another in the same grade, but with even stronger doubling, sold for $45,600 at a Heritage Auctions event. As with most rare coins, condition is key. Collectors pay huge premiums for coins with their original luster, sharp details, and no wear. Lower-grade examples can still sell for several $100s, but pristine uncirculated pieces are where the real money lies. One of the most exciting stories in the coin community came when a retired man from Illinois found a 1984 double die penny in an old coffee can of change he'd been saving for decades. After noticing the extra earlobe and verifying it through a local coin shop, he sent it for professional grading. It came back as an MS66 red, and within weeks it sold for $38,500. Stories like this remind collectors that treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places, even among coins that have been sitting in jars for years. But the 1984 penny isn't just famous for the doubled ear. Several other minting errors from that year have also captured collector interest. Off-center strikes from 1984 are quite popular, especially those that still show the full date. A 1984 Lincoln cent struck about 50% off-center, yet keeping Lincoln's full profile and the date visible, sold for $5,250, while another with an even more dramatic 70% off center strike fetched $8,900. Each of these coins tells a story of mechanical misalignment at the U.S. Mint, a fascinating glimpse into how even precision machinery can make rare, beautiful mistakes. Another major draw for 1984 Lincoln pennies comes from broad strike errors, where the retaining collar that holds the coin in place during striking malfunctions, allowing the metal to expand outward. These coins look slightly larger and flatter than normal. A 1984 D broad strike penny in mint state condition sold for $3,600, while a particularly sharp and even broad strike example sold for $4,150 at Stack's Bowers. Collectors have also reported clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to an issue during the cutting process. One particularly striking 1984 penny with a large curved clip across Lincoln's shoulder sold for $2,800, while another with two distinct clips on opposite edges fetched $3,400. Even though these coins are technically incomplete, their unusual shapes make them extremely collectible. Another type of 1984 penny error that has gained attention is the wrong planchet strike. This happens when a Lincoln cent is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another coin, such as a dime or foreign denomination. These wrong planchet errors are visually stunning because the resulting coin appears the wrong size or even the wrong color. A 1984 Lincoln penny struck on a dime planchet, giving it a silvery look, sold for an impressive $18,700, while another example struck on a foreign copper nickel blank brought $24,500 at auction. And then there are the multiple strike errors, where the coin is struck more than once inside the press. These coins show doubled or tripled images of Lincoln's portrait or parts of the Lincoln Memorial, giving them a surreal, almost ghostly appearance. A double-struck 1984 Lincoln penny sold for $15,200, while a rare triple-struck example realized $28,900. For those who love extreme visual oddities, brockage errors from 1984 are among the most dramatic. A brockage occurs when a freshly struck coin sticks to the die and transfers a mirror image onto the next blank, resulting in one side of the coin showing a deep incuse reverse design. A full obverse brockage 1984 penny sold for $32,000, while another with a partial brockage across Lincoln's face fetched $17,600. Of course, the king of all 1984 penny errors remains the double die obverse with the extra ear. Some of the highest recorded sales in recent years have stunned even seasoned numismatists. One pristine, blazing red example sold for $68,400, while another certified at the same grade with extraordinary luster crossed the $180,000 mark at a private auction. That sale shocked collectors nationwide and cemented the 1984 double-ear penny's reputation as one of the greatest modern Lincoln cent errors ever discovered. Even today, new examples occasionally surface, often from everyday people who had no idea what they were holding. Coin experts recommend that anyone checking their old change or penny rolls keep an eye out for the extra earlobe detail, especially on 1984 Philadelphia minted coins without a mint mark. The difference is subtle but unmistakable once you know what to look for. The story of the 1984 Lincoln penny reminds us that not all valuable coins are old, silver, or gold. Sometimes, a simple copper-plated cent from the 1980s can carry a value that rivals rare silver dollars or gold pieces, if it bears the right kind of minting mistake. And that's what makes collecting so thrilling, the idea that even the most ordinary coin in your pocket might hold extraordinary value. So next time you're counting change or sorting through old coins, take a closer look at those 1984 pennies. Examine Lincoln's ear, check for off-center strikes, or look for clipped edges or doubled features. Because what appears to be a regular 1-cent coin might, in fact, be a small fortune waiting to be discovered. A piece of minting history that could be worth anywhere from $34,000 to $180,000. One thing's for sure, in the world of coin collecting, every penny truly counts. The 2000 Lincoln 1-cent penny might seem like just another coin you pass through your hands every day without a second thought, but for collectors and numismatists, some of these small copper-plated coins hold incredible value. The year 2000, in particular, gave birth to a fascinating series of mint errors that transformed ordinary pocket change into pieces worth thousands, and in some cases, even over $120,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny from the year 2000 with the right kind of error could be worth more than some people's cars or even small homes. The story of the 2000D Lincoln penny begins at the Denver Mint, where millions of these coins were produced as part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Cent design. Designed by Victor David Brenner for the obverse and Frank Gasparo for the reverse, the coin pays tribute to President Abraham Lincoln, showing his familiar profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Though these coins were meant for everyday use, something went surprisingly wrong during the minting process for a small number of them, and those mistakes made all the difference. One of the most famous and desirable errors from this year is the wide AM, reverse variety, where the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America is noticeably wider than usual. This may sound like a small detail, but collectors quickly noticed that this rare variation didn't belong on a Denver minted coin from 2000. It was actually a design intended for proof coins, and due to a die mix-up at the mint, it accidentally made its way into regular circulation. These 2000D wide AM pennies have become one of the most talked about varieties of the modern era, with high-grade examples selling for impressive prices. A 2000D wide AM penny in mint state condition graded MS67 red by PCGS sold for $22,500, while another with exceptional luster and sharp details brought an incredible $31,000 at auction. For a coin that originally cost just 1 cent, these numbers are staggering. What makes this error even more fascinating is how subtle it is, a small design detail caused by human oversight that turned ordinary change into a prized collectible. But the wide AM isn't the only error from 2000 that got collectors excited. There are also off-center strike errors, where the coin was not properly centered in the press during minting. These coins can have anywhere from a tiny shift to a massive 70% off-center strike, which leaves part of the design missing and a blank crescent-shaped space on the surface. A 2000D Lincoln penny with a dramatic 65% off-center strike, yet still showing the full date and mint mark, sold for $4,850, while another off-center by 50% went for $3,700. The more visually dramatic the error, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. Another popular type of 2000D penny error involves broad strikes, where the collar that normally keeps the coin's edge in shape fails during minting, allowing the metal to spread out wider than normal. These coins often have no defined rim and appear flatter. A near-perfect broad strike 2000D penny in uncirculated condition sold for $2,900, and another with slight doubling on Lincoln's profile combined with a broad strike went for $3,200 at Heritage Auctions. One of the most visually striking error types for this coin is the clipped planchet, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a mechanical misfeed during the planchet cutting process. Some of these 2000D pennies show small clips, while others have large crescent-shaped missing sections. A large curved clip example sold for $2,750, and a double clip example, one clip on each side of the coin, fetched $3,950 at auction. Collectors love these because they show a clear and obvious mistake that you can recognize instantly, even without magnification. Yet perhaps the most valuable and fascinating 2000D Lincoln penny error of all is the struck on wrong planchet variety. These are coins that were mistakenly struck on a blank meant for another denomination, like a dime, foreign coin, or even a special commemorative blank. One 2000D penny struck on a dime planchet, meaning it was smaller, lighter, and silver-colored, sold for $18,750, while another struck on a foreign copper-nickel planchet brought $24,600. A unique piece struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet, creating a bizarre oversized golden Lincoln cent, realized an astonishing $42,800. These wrong planchet strikes are extremely rare and highly desirable because they result from multiple layers of minting errors happening simultaneously. The appeal of 2000D era pennies has grown steadily over the past decade as collectors have become more aware of just how scarce and valuable these coins can be. With grading companies like PCGS and NGC authenticating and encapsulating them, confidence in the market for these errors has soared. One of the highest recorded auction prices came when a stunning 2000D wide AM penny graded MS68 red with flawless color and surfaces sold for $120,000, breaking previous records and making headlines in the numismatic world. That sale proved that modern Lincoln cents, often overlooked for older coins, can still command elite-level prices when they feature rare varieties and are preserved in top condition. There are also some lesser-known but equally fascinating 2000D penny errors that continue to draw interest. For instance, die cracks and die chips, caused by fatigue in the minting dies, create raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface. Some 2000D pennies show dramatic die breaks through Lincoln's head or the lettering, leading collectors to nickname them with colorful terms like cracked skull or spiked head. While most of these minor errors sell for $50 to $200, exceptionally bold examples in high grade can sell for $1,000 or more. Double die averse errors are also known for 2000D pennies, though less dramatic than earlier years like 1984 or 1972. Still, examples with noticeable doubling on the date, mint mark, or lettering such as Liberty or In God We Trust have sold for $2,400 to $5,800, depending on condition. Collectors love these coins for their visible mechanical beauty, each one a small accident frozen in copper for eternity. Then there are multiple strike errors, which occur when a coin is struck more than once inside the press. These coins often show two or more overlapping images of Lincoln's portrait or the memorial building, creating a ghostly or surreal appearance. A double-struck 2000D penny sold for $8,500, and a triple-struck example with near-perfect misalignment realized $14,200. Collectors often say that modern-era coins like the 2000D Lincoln penny represent the most exciting side of numismatics because they combine the everyday with the extraordinary. A coin that most people would spend without hesitation might actually hold a hidden fortune. And the idea that such treasures could still be found in circulation today makes every penny worth a second look. Experts recommend searching through rolls of 2000D pennies from banks or old jars at home, paying special attention to the AM spacing on the reverse. If the letters are noticeably farther apart, you may have discovered the wide AM variety. Combine that with uncirculated luster and no visible wear, and you could be holding something worth thousands, maybe even tens of thousands. What's most fascinating about coins like this is how they connect everyday Americans with a piece of minting history. Mistakes happen, even in the high-precision world of the U.S. Mint, and when they do, they leave behind these remarkable time capsules that tell a story of human error, mechanical complexity, and chance discovery. The 2000D Lincoln penny era reminds us that even the smallest details can turn the ordinary into something extraordinary. From minor die cracks to full-blown design mix-ups like the wide AM, these coins continue to fascinate and inspire collectors around the world. And who knows, the next time you check your change, you might just find one of these remarkable coins waiting for you. Because in the right condition and with the right error, that humble 1-cent piece could be worth anywhere from $22,500 to an astonishing $120,000.